What if everything you thought you saw was only half the story? What if a single step, a split-second decision, one sharp reaction from a bodyguard, triggered a chain of whispers that quickly turned into global headlines? Before you judge, before you scroll away, pause for a moment, because what happened involving Jungkook at a US airport is far more emotional, tense, and human than the internet wants you to believe. And before you read further, comment right now with your first reaction. Hit like if you want the truth exposed. And subscribe so you don't miss the next hidden detail that fans are already arguing about. The moment began quietly, almost invisibly, the way most explosive stories do. Jungkook walked forward with the calm expression fans know so well, eyes steady, posture relaxed, surrounded by the familiar bubble of security that usually keeps chaos at bay. Yet something in the air felt different. Cameras clicked faster. Voices rose slightly higher. The crowd pressed just a bit closer. In that narrow corridor of glass walls, rolling luggage, and controlled tension, protocol mattered more than ever. And then, in a blink, something happened that many are calling a violation. Others are calling a misunderstanding. A few are calling a deliberate choice that reveals more about Jungkook's character than any stage performance ever could. Was it truly a breach of protocol? Or was it an instinctive human response? That question is at the heart of the storm now circling social media. Witnesses claim Jungkook stepped out of the expected security flow, moving just enough to cause a ripple of concern among airport staff. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't reckless. But it was enough. Enough for trained eyes to notice. Enough for procedures to activate. Enough for Mr. Lee, the bodyguard known for his iron discipline and near-silent presence, to react instantly. Mr. Lee's reaction was not loud. It was not aggressive. And that's exactly why it shocked people. Those who have followed BTS for years know that Mr. Lee is more than muscle. He is timing, awareness, and calculation. When he moved, it wasn't panicked, it was precision. A hand raised slightly. A step forward that blocked a line of sight. A brief but unmistakable shift in formation. To casual observers, it might have looked like nothing. To professionals, it was everything. It was the kind of reaction that only happens when protocol is threatened. When risk calculations change in real time, when safety becomes a moving target, and suddenly, the narrative exploded. Jungkook breaks the rules. Bodyguard forced to intervene. Security breach at US airport. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most headlines won't touch. Protocols are written for order, not for humanity. And Jungkook, despite the layers of fame and protection, is still human. Sources close to the situation describe a moment charged with emotion. Jungkook reportedly noticed something in the crowd, someone calling out. Possibly a fan in distress, possibly a familiar voice, possibly a misunderstanding amplified by noise and nerves. That split second of attention. That fractional pause outside the rigid choreography of airport movement may have been all it took. Was it a mistake? Or was it compassion colliding with regulation? Mr. Lee didn't hesitate. He adjusted. He corrected. He restored the perimeter without escalation. And in doing so, he may have prevented a situation far worse than what online commentators are now obsessing over. Yet the internet rarely rewards restraint. Within minutes, clips circulated. Slowed down, zoomed in, replayed with dramatic captions. Each frame dissected as if it were evidence in a trial. Jungkook's facial expression became a canvas for projection. Calm to some, defiant to others, confused to many. But what was he really thinking in that moment? Was he aware that a single step could ignite a debate about responsibility, fame, and freedom? The emotional weight of that question hangs heavy, because for artists like Jungkook, movement is never just movement. Every gesture is watched. Every pause is interpreted. And every deviation from expectation is treated as a statement, whether intended or not. The pressure is relentless. Airports are not just transit spaces. They are stages without music, performances without consent. What makes this incident cut deeper is not the alleged violation itself, but the reaction to it. Fans are divided not by loyalty, but by fear. Fear that one wrong narrative could be weaponized. Fear that a human moment could be twisted into a scandal. Fear that protection can sometimes look like control. Concern can sometimes be misread as defiance. Mr. Lee's presence, often invisible, suddenly became symbolic. To some, he represents safety. To others, restriction. But in that moment, he was simply doing his job, balancing Jungkook's instincts against a world that does not forgive mistakes, especially from those at the top. And here's the part no one is saying loudly enough. Nothing truly dangerous happened. No alarms, no detentions, no official reprimands. The airport continued to function. Jungkook continued on his journey. Mr. Lee resumed his silent watch. Life moved on, except online, because the story was never about danger. It was about interpretation. Was Jungkook careless, or was he kind? Was Mr. Lee strict, or was he protective? Was this a breach, or was it proof of how fragile the balance between celebrity and normalcy really is? These questions matter because they reveal more about us than about them. The emotional response from fans has been intense. Some expressed anger at what they see as unfair scrutiny. Others urged Jungkook to be more cautious, not out of criticism, but out of fear for his safety. Many praised Mr. Lee for acting swiftly, understanding that in a world where one mistake can escalate into chaos, prevention is invisible but essential. And yet, beneath all the noise, there is a quieter truth. Jungkook did not act out of arrogance. He did not challenge authority. He did not dismiss safety. If anything, the moment highlighted the impossible expectations placed on him to be approachable but distant, kind but untouchable, human but flawless. That contradiction is exhausting. Imagine living in a world where even your instinct to look, to listen, to acknowledge can be framed as wrongdoing, where your protectors must sometimes protect you from yourself, not because you are reckless, but because the world around you is unpredictable. That is the reality Jungkook navigates daily. Mr. Lee understands this reality better than anyone. His reaction was not a rebuke. It was a shield. Not a correction of behavior, but a recalibration of risk. Those who read it as conflict are missing the deeper story of trust between an artist, the person tasked with keeping him safe. Trust is not always gentle. Sometimes it is firm. Sometimes it is silent. And sometimes it looks like stepping in front of a camera at exactly the right moment. As the debate continues, one thing is clear: this incident will fade, but the conversation it sparked will not. It forces fans and critics alike to confront uncomfortable questions about boundaries, empathy, and the cost of global fame. It reminds us that protocols exist for a reason, but so do emotions. And when the two collide, judgment should never be the first response. So before you decide what this moment means, ask yourself if you were in Jungkook's place. Under constant watch, would you always move perfectly? And if you were Mr. Lee, responsible for a life millions care about, wouldn't you react the same way? Now it's your turn. Do you believe Jungkook crossed a line? Or do you think this was a misunderstood human moment? Comment your opinion below, like this article, if you value deeper narratives over shallow headlines. And subscribe so you don't miss the next story the cameras didn't explain.